starting a standard shave, and we're going to do it real time like you guys might. Leave some water in there. 1, 2. About 30 swirls. Shake it into the bowl just not to waste any of the yummy froth. Just really wet right now. Get some of that kind of early froth everywhere, and that is very, very slick. We'll introduce all the products in a minute, but most of you guys are repeat lookers and you kind of know what they are anyway. But this will give me a reminder about how long a 3-pass shave takes with this method. And of course you guys too. Just a day's growth since we're shaving every day. Little splash of water, not trying to rinse everything away yet. Second pass. Good. We're only 2 minutes into the shave, and I'm halfway through my second pass, so you can see why this is standing out to me when I developed it. I mean, when I kind of found it as a good one for a speedy shave. Splash of water. My face with that water feels nice and nourishing. I can feel how the lather is getting more luxurious, increasing in velocity, viscosity. I loaded about the same amount as I did yesterday. And yeah, third pass. And if I wanted to work on this more, I could, and it really is kind of a mature lather at this point. But we're kind of focusing on speed today. Not super hurry speed. I'm not trying to be super fast. I'm just not wasting time. This is cross grain on my neck, the stroke right here. Right there, my neck hair kind of goes sideways. I think a lot of people's necks is where things get very non-standard, right? And that's 3 passes. Now, I'm going to stop right there. So that's 4.5 minutes for 3-pass shave. Add a couple more minutes to clean your gear. Rinse out your brush. Put away your gear, that kind of thing. So it's real easy to see how within 7 minutes you can be done with a 3-pass shave with the Slurry Lather method. You don't get a lot of brush time on your face, so if you have a nice expensive brush that you want to enjoy and just kind of savor, this is not going to be the method for that, but that's okay. You really don't want any kind of fast method if you want to enjoy those brush tips. So you just be you doing something else. My friends Okie Dokie Cool out there and Greg Gallant out there, they have modified this type of method to suit their needs. And Greg loads for a little bit longer so that he gets a more rich lather kind of at the beginning, you know, and then it lasts long. So instead of waiting until I have that nice lather on the third pass, he gets that sooner. So he's modified it to do that. And you can do that too. Whatever makes you happy. Try this out. Have it in your repertoire as a fast method if you want to do that. If you don't, that's okay. You can develop your own fast method. But you can also glean from it what you like about it and leave what doesn't make you happy. We're all shavers here who can kind of choose our own way, and I'm just giving you tools. Plenty of other examples of a normal bowl lathering method on my channel for you, and I've got years and years of those shaves available. The slurry I've just been working the last couple of years on. Just kind of discovering it, documenting it mainly, trying to figure out the pros and cons and, you know, what makes it this, you know, a slurry lather, just so I can communicate and talk about it. Just received word today, what was it, Lakes, and then some numbers, told me how he had tried it and it worked really well. Somebody was using, I think Okie Dokie Cool said he was using it with Mitchell's wool fat. And it was fabulous with that soap. And I think I've tried it with Mitchell's wool fat. I can't remember. Maybe not. But yeah, I could totally see how it would work well with MWF. And that's the old tallow version. Unfortunately, they don't make anymore. So I did not rinse out my brush though, because I've got a couple more passes to do. I could probably get away with going to work with this particular shave, but if somebody was close by, they'd probably see a couple of patches here. So that's why I just tacked on an extra couple minutes to finish up, because I didn't really want to put a splash on knowing that I would do a couple more passes. So that was just to give you and me a real-time kind of measurement about how long a slurry lather shave could take. So the scent for the splash, cologne, and soap is Chiseled Face, Midnight Stag. They are made by Groomatorium, who makes a couple of other lines as well. And splash, cologne, razor, timeless, open comb, stainless steel, 68 gap. The blade, although it's been used 678, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Today is 579 uses. That's what today's count is. And then here is the blade for identification purposes. We will continue to use it for 2 more passes. And the brush is the Semogue Owners Club with the Taj handle. Splash a little bit more water on my face now that it's had a chance to kind of dry. And we will resume. We don't have tons of lather available, but I bet I'll have enough to get the job done. You can see it's no longer, it is light. It's a thinner lather, but it's very hydrated. Nice and slick. And it'll definitely get the job done easily. In my talking in the comments with Greg recently of maybe yesterday's shave. He told me how he was modifying the method. He is a straight razor shaver, very knowledgeable about straight razor things, and he made a good point. We do know, as a general rule, that straight razor shavers like a wetter lather that's higher performance, because that, the water really is what combines with the soap to the wetter the better almost. But he made a good point that that's true up to a point. You don't want it so that it's kind of drippy in a way where it moves quickly, because as you are trying to use your straight to shave, you're trying to keep, if you imagine here's the handle and the blade comes out, the hinge right there, you're trying to keep moisture out of that hinge so that it won't rust or anything like that. And so that's why you usually don't want a lather that is drippy if you're straight razor shaving. A little splash of water now. And now for the 5th pass. So that's a very good point. So if your lather's dripping too much, then maybe that's not good for straights. But he said that what was good for straights are a couple of the principles. I had talked about that particular shave, and indeed I talk about a lot, are a small blade angle, so it's more flat against your skin. And then super light pressure, where you're not making your skin dent. You're just kind of lightly keeping it on the surface of your skin. He said those are definitely good tenets of proper straight razor shaving, if I can paraphrase. And I can squeeze, as you can see, plenty of rich lather from the knot. So that 30 is going to be plenty if you're a 3-pass shaver. I'm doing more passes because I have a very old blade. But as you can see, these are quick passes. I'm air puffing my cheeks. Kind of out of habit. I don't even mention it sometimes because I kind of do it by automatic robot mode, lifting up my chin and away when I'm working on this side. Makes the skin more taut. Straight razor shavers have to be even more purposeful about the stretching of their skin, sometimes reaching over, to pull up on your skin, that sort of thing. Matter of fact, if you're having a problem with, especially in the neck area, getting certain spots to be as closely shaven as you want them to, then try some skin stretching. You can use an alum block, get your fingers wet, use an alum block, and that will allegedly help you to grab moist skin and pull it tight. Not too tight though. You don't want to pull it crazy tight. That can expose too much, and you might get an ingrown hair, is my understanding. All right, very good. That's 5 passes, I think. Yes, it is. So let me get a good rinse now, clean up my brush, that sort of thing. How it looks after being rinsed well and slung out in the sink. Reach down my hand down in there in the sink and flip it back and forth very quickly to shoot the water out into the sink sides. And now to the towel. Not very much time on the towel, but you can see it is different. We've removed, there shouldn't be any kind of droplets of water in there. The bristles absorb water at the beginning of the shave when you soak your brush. And so, of course, it's going to take some time for them to dry out. I will do a hairdryer treatment on this, but I will take a moment right now to talk about one of the other side challenges of Austere August, at least here on the wet shaving subreddit. Some of the guys really enjoy what they call raw hogging. And they take a brush, a boar brush that has never been used before. And at day one, they're one of the requirements of that challenge, because I think there is a reward at the end, or at least the chance of a reward, you know. They unbox their new boar brush, and one thing about boars is you can usually tell when they've been used and when they haven't, so it's pretty easy to spot that. But the first day one video shows the unboxing. Maybe it's not a video, maybe it's just a photo. I don't quite know the specs there, specifics. But they unbox it, then they can soak it, and then they can start using it. And young boars are something that surprises you if you don't know what to expect. My first one was a Semogue 830, and it was so frustrating. Oh, because I didn't know. Nobody told me that boars broke in. Nobody told me it would be very different in 30 uses. And so I was so frustrated with the brush. I basically had to go back to the tub of soap after every pass to load more, because it just wouldn't hold enough lather. It would just release it. Maybe the bristles, even after having been soaked with water, maybe the bristles hadn't opened up enough. I don't, maybe there was some kind of coating on the bristles that prevented them from absorbing as much water, maybe, but I don't think that was it. But it really has happened to some degree on every brush, every boar brush I've ever used, and I've used some from a good number of manufacturers, all the popular ones. And so don't be frustrated when you get that new boar brush. It just happens like that. Don't be surprised if you have to go back to the tub and load and then work up that lather again. Okay, that's just going to happen. Some brushes, it will only take 6 uses, 8 uses. That Semogue 830 years ago with the premium bristles. No, not premium bristles. What were they? They were almost premium. But it's different now because they switched to the Hereditas line, a cheaper line, so the 830 doesn't have the same brushes, the bristles that it has had for past decades. But use number 14, right around there, is when it held enough lather to last me through the shave. I was only needing to load at the beginning. A lot of the tips had not split yet. Back then, I didn't even know the tips were going to split. I just knew that was a boar brush, and I was going to try it. Maybe I had read that they were going to split, but I definitely just did not know. Did I buy it off Amazon? I'm pretty confident I bought it off Amazon. So I very well may have not known at all that the tips were going to split. But I had a couple of Zenith brushes. 15 wasn't long enough, and 25 I think was the number of shaves that I put in that were super frustrating. Then after that, something happens with the knot, it relaxes, it opens up, something changes, and you're able to use it more like a normal knot, more like a normal brush, and you're not having to go back to the tub of soap. So that's your little PSA about boar brushes. In a sense, I think that's what makes them more magical and personal, is that you grow with them. If you have a couple of boar brushes, especially both Omega and I think Zenith, but Omega and Semogue are the main makers that make very cheap boar brushes, but if you stick with them for a long time, they'll turn into something awesome. And so for your, at the time when I was buying Semogues, boy, I think $10 to $15 was the range. And that's why I bought so many. It was great. But you just have to put in the time, and it changes and becomes this with these tips that are split. This is very wet right now, so you're not going to be able to see too many. You might be able to see a few right there. You're not going to see too many split tips. You have to dry it out a little bit to see them really well. But boy, it's so neat to remember that horrible experience with the frustrating first several shaves, and then to have it 100, 200 uses later, and it's soft, and it holds water super well, and it splays, and it's not too floppy, and you just get this luxury experience with the lather, and you know that you were walking with that brush the whole time, and it almost feels like a part of you, or a friend, or something like that. It's just a really neat process to watch a board change like that, and to have it change into something so premium, really. You know, some of those knots, they can be so inexpensive yet feel so amazing later on down the line. And there we go, boys and girls. After the hairdryer treatment, look how big the bloom is. Semogue does do kind of an artificial bloom. The bristles around the side are set in the glue knot at an angle. There's I think a little metal funnel inside here that kind of corrals everything. But I mean, big deal. It's not like they're cheating or anything. It just helps that this is one of the boar brushes that has one of the biggest blooms out there. It's kind of what it's known for. And so big and plush is the Semogue Owners Club's kind of claim to fame. And when you have that lather all in the brush, it's just too big for a few people, too big for some people. Let's see if we can, now that it's had a little bit of drying. Boy, I saw one tip, and I've seen tips with 5 different, shafts of bristles with 5 different tips on them. So you may be able to see some of that splitting there was one that clearly popped up there. You may be able to see some of that, and that's just, now look right here, some of these side ones, is that concerning? You know, there's a few that are kind of broken. Some makers will tell you not to, in a bowl, not to move in circles, or on your face, not to move in circles, but only do painting motions, side motions. I tend to ignore that. Oh yeah, there's a guy right there that's got a bunch of splits. Anyway, the bristles on the outside will be the ones generally that's split first, and then gradually the inside will start to look like the outside. So there we go, treating him with hair dryer. That will help him to accelerate and feel more luxurious more quickly. Done with the shave, gonna seal that up. Oh, the splash. This is an alcohol splash. It does have some skin goodies in it, like witch hazel, aloe, calendula. And it also has menthol, vitamin B5 Pro. I assume the B5 is for good skin health. And astaxanthin, whatever that is. That reminds me of xanthan gum. I don't know if that's related or not. My face has had a chance to dry because I did work with the brush and all that. I'm going to put a little more water on it so that the alcohol splash is not going to be as harsh on my face. If you like to use alcohol splashes, because I was just talking with somebody online today, advising them, they were kind of new, that the balms are lotions and they are very nice, nourishing for your skin, but not a lot of the artisans, not a lot of the makers actually make a balm. So a lot of people are forced to use splashes to get certain fragrances. And so one thing you can actually do is have some witch hazel on hand, like a Thayer's witch hazel toner, which is mostly aloe and witch hazel, kind of like this splash here, but just without the alcohol. And use that witch hazel toner on your skin. You can get an unscented variety, or you can find a scent that is very compatible with a whole family of other scents. Like I got lavender. It's a light lavender scent, and boy, it works so well with all kinds of aftershave fragrances. Like if this was very woody, amber, woody, that sort of thing, lavender and wood go very, very well together. Lavender and citrus, if this was some kind of citrus splash, that would also go very well together. So you could put, after the shave, you could have the nourishing effects of the witch hazel only. Let that sink in for a few minutes while you're cleaning up your stuff. and then bring in the splash that might be alcohol related. And because you treated your skin kindly with the witch hazel and aloe, then it's very possible that the alcohol would not bother you. It works that way for me. So the splash. Very good. This is maybe about the only menthol splash I ever use. I do not like menthol. That hasn't changed over the years. I wonder if someday I'll get used to it, because this is when my positive feelings for Midnight Stag could cause me to get used to menthol. I don't think so, but who knows? Who knows, right? All right, and we can go ahead and put on the fragrance. And this is an EDP. The EDP, I think, is the highest percentage of the extrait, the scent, compound. I think EDT has a slightly lower percentage, and then EDC is lower than that, I believe. All right, so I like to do it on my wrists. I find that I enjoy it on my neck, but I get blind to it too quickly because it's always in my nose. Whereas I can enjoy it for hours when it's on my wrists, because sometimes my hands are away from my face. So my nose gets used to it not being there. And then I'll move to adjust my glasses or hat, and then the scent will come around me and it'll be fresh and new again. And I can enjoy it that way for hours and hours. So I'm glad on the Reddit sub, wet shaving, somebody advised us, maybe me specifically, hey, try it on your wrists. And I followed that advice, and man, I do like that quite a bit. That was today's shave. So about 7 minutes for a standard 3-pass shave using the Slurry Lather method. On any days when you're in a hurry, it might be a method to call upon. Or do like my friends Greg and Okie Dokie do, and they modify the method a little bit. And what I may do tomorrow, because I'm using this month to experiment, what I may do is load longer. Right now, the 30 seconds was pretty much perfect. I had enough lather to do 5 passes. So it would have been plenty to do 3 passes, but not a waste, really, not too much of a waste. But what if I loaded twice that much time, and then used that? Maybe made sure my brush had a lot of water. Other than having too much soap at the end, would there be any other problems with the Slurry Lather method if that was the case? Would it accelerate into a homogeneous lather before the 3rd pass? If I slowed down and worked it on my face longer, if I was not focused on speed of the shave, then would it, in the latter part of the 1st pass, maybe the very beginning of the 2nd pass, would it turn into a mature lather? So, let's try it and see what happens. We've got some variables to play around with, and that's a perfect time, August is, to do that, since everything else remains the same. Oh, one thing I didn't do, I did not rinse out my razor. I am getting a little more irritation on my right side and a little bit on my neck that is carrying over from maybe the past 3 shaves. Could something have happened to the Nacet blade that changed it? Because I haven't used it in 11 months. I don't think. Yeah, that's right. Could some kind of degradation have happened to the edge? Need to be sensitive to that. Maybe I need to whip out some rubbing alcohol just to make sure I disinfect it. I should have done that already. But we are using it with soap, which should have cleaned it up, a good bit. So could that be the end for the blade? Maybe it's just the end for this side, and I finally need to flip the blade over. We'll see. We'll just see. I kind of would hate to flip it over before I send it to Greg to have it looked at via the microscope. I'm so interested to see what it looks like having only used it on one side all this time. I think that could be very enlightening for the shaving community. All right. This smells so good. I love the scent. I love the fragrance. It brings out different parts than the other Midnight Stag items have. And I'm so grateful that somebody introduced that to me. Just sit there and enjoy it in your shave. Just relax. Take some breaths sometimes. Maybe before the shave to kind of reset you and get your mind in the right place to make it a relaxing, enjoying thing to do. Anyway, take care now. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.